I'll tell you, I had to pull myself out of a dark, dingy brain to get up on here.
Really? Well,
It is. It's just,
I can't say I blame you. I can't say I blame you, Danny girl. It's been a hell of a year for us both.
yeah.
But you're looking beautiful today. What's your secret?
What?
I said you're looking beautiful today. What is your secret?
Makeup.
Well, I was actually thinking you were going to answer me like, I took advice from Keith Richards. I recycle blood.
See, I'm not quite as witty as you. You've always got it going on.
I hear you. I hear you.
How are you?
If I have to tell you how humble I am today, and I'm not tired, not at all, I'm humbled. There we go.
Humility is very important.
It comes more naturally to women, I find. Men have to be hard asses first before they have to be humble. And I'm not making a joke, I'm being very honest.
I think it has also a lot to do with age. You're a little ahead of your time because you're living with your mom. You know, like you grew up with your mom instead of both parents, so.
Don't give away my secret!
There's Kiola.
There we go. Let me quickly invite her to the stage.
All right, I'll be getting that weight pod off.
There we go. See, we've got to invite to video. There we go.
Fun. Hey.
There it is. Hi, Kiola.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. Happy Tuesday.
Well,
Happy
Oh, was
Apart
that
from
round of
that-
applause for me?
that is always the modus operandi for our guest. But let's welcome our guests first, folks. If you've tuned in on this special occasion, this is our final episode in our freshman year, doing it sober live, broadcasting to every orifice, not just corner of the globe. My name is Chris Nell, broadcasting live from South Africa behind the golden mic. Opposite me, the lady with the four eyes and the colourful blouse and that ever so sparkly eyes is Daniela Park, my sister in crime. And of course, Kiola Raines has jumped on screen. As is routine of the program, let's introduce our guest. With a premise, of course, and I'm sure Kiola will buy into it, as all of our guests have previously, because it focuses on something that she specializes in very well. As I'm led to understand, right behind her is a couple of her certificates, but I get ahead of myself.
Yes, look at that.
As the year of our Lord 2022 comes to a close, it appears a new breed of health-conscious subspecies has reared its head for all to see, and my oh my, they do come in droves. Egotism and vanity have been attributed to the practice of fitness and physical health, but it has been retorted as unnecessary bias from a crowd, namely the peanut gallery, who may not have all its ducks together in the first place. And the us versus them thought process was any different, maybe? But for the peanut gallery and for the naysayers, here's a little something to chew on why fitness is more advantageous than perilous, unless you're a completely reprehensible glutton. Fitness saves lives. Fitness improves mental health, and fitness renews marriages. Just thought I threw that one in there for good measure. The list could go on and on and on. However, to solidify these points and to provide more, we've called on Kiola Raines to the show this week. Kiola has an extensive portfolio, from being a certified nutritionist coach to being a peer support specialist. She has worked in many facets of the fitness industry, pardon the tongue twister, and has used this knowledge to inject some positive physical education into the recovery community. She joins us on DIS Live to tell her story and to shed some much-needed light and details on how physical activity above physicality is how the twain is to be met. Kiola, welcome.
Hello. That was so fun. What a fun intro. I'm so happy to be here. So this is my first Fireside chat. Is that what they're called? Fireside chats? Fireside conversations?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And how are you finding the experience so far?
Welcome.
It's pretty cool. It reminds me of like an IG live. I am pretty familiar with those. And then of course we've all been Zooming for the past 2-3 years. And then I also see a feature that folks are listening in live, kind of like a live podcast. So I love it. It's fun.
Yeah.
The means of
You can ask
communication.
questions. People ask questions. They can come up on video. And I actually have a couple friends I invited today that I said, come on the show, ask questions. And they promised. So we'll see what happens. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And you guys have been doing this for a year?
Yeah.
A year, can you believe it? And I will allude to that at the end of today's show. But Kiola, taking the reins quickly, give us rather a little bit of a background, as I understand you're a former addict yourself, and how did your recovery along with your physical fitness passion absolutely start to collide together? Or culminate together, rather.
Yeah, how did they come together? So that's all happened pretty intensely in the last 6 or 7 months, that they turned into a career. But my recovery journey started, well, let's see, that's kind of a trick question, because the first time I tried to quit drinking was 2015. The first time I actually intentionally gave some effort to it. And then again in 2019 was when I started this journey that I'm on. So I'll be celebrating 4 years in January.
Fantastic.
Well done.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Well done.
It goes so fast.
It does.
But I definitely didn't go into the journey January 2019 thinking, I'm going to get sober, I'm going to quit drinking, and I'm going to become a recovery coach. I'm just going to talk about sobriety all the time. Like, it's going to become my career. So I did not think that, but I
Surprise.
surprise. I did quickly get back into my own personal fitness routine because I finally had the time and the attention. I spent many years helping other folks on their journey. So studied kinesiology in grad school and undergrad, and was running a studio, working as a trainer, teaching group exercise. And then it was, like a Jekyll and Hyde thing. Turn down the lights of the studio, go in the back, open a bottle of wine, drink the whole bottle. And I did that, for a while. And so I always knew that this was important. I knew that, eating with intention and mindfully and moving on a regular basis are something that everyone needs to do. I didn't realize that I could have been using that to get sober, to stay sober. I was not following my own advice. I was, not walking the walk. I was just talking. Do as I say, not as I do. And so
exactly.
Right into the beginning of my routine, my sobriety journey, because I had the time, I did the pause on life. I moved out of the city, went to a safe space for many months, and was able to just focus on myself. Then, of course, I started moving daily and just realizing how good you feel when you're moving. I had the, time and energy to focus back on my own nutrition and make sure I was fueling and really giving myself the data, because food is more so data than fuel. And then I, just started talking about recovery openly and honestly on my social media. And that got me connected with all of these, what I consider new age recovery spaces, because I didn't know when I started my journey that there were other options besides 12-step. I thought that was the only option. So that's what I went with, because that's what I was aware of.
Right.
But through social media, I started, getting connected and saying, hey, I can make this journey, my own. I can create my own recovery and use pieces and tools and education from all of the different spaces to recover. And what I didn't see was any program that was focused on or really implementing nutrition and fitness as a part of the journey. And so I just, happened to be sharing about my own education and how I was moving. I was sharing workout videos, and leaders in sobriety spaces just, started reaching out and saying, hey, can you teach a workshop? You're a certified nutrition coach and you're on your recovery journey. Come teach a workshop. People need this information. And that's become a full-blown career,
Fantastic.
which is just so weird for me to say. I'm like, what in the world?
It's everything kind of you get sober, and then all these wonderful things reveal themselves, and
Yeah.
you don't know they're coming, but they come, and it's so much bigger than you could ever imagine. And that's what I tell new people: just keep going, because you just have no idea how amazing this gets, and all the things that can happen without you even thinking of wanting to do that. Here you are, helping people
Well said,
too,
Danny.
which is great.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Kiola, I've always been curious about a lot of things. Like yourself,
Okay.
I think it might be a little bit of a problem with my internet. Pardon in advance if it's proving a little bit of a bother.
And mine as well, I'm sorry.
But in any event, Kiola, I've been meaning to ask, because you are well versed in this area of study. Like yourself, I came into the recovery community via social media. It literally exploded by means of Instagram and the like. Now, interestingly enough, along with the methods of recovery, which you have been so adept at explaining, the method of nutrition has become adept. Would you agree? Because here's why I say it, for a myriad of reasons. Like yourself, I'm also a qualified personal trainer. I got my certification this year. And ironically, there are many different diets for many different facets of people. Because there are people like, I don't mean to talk out of the bedroom, Danny, but you've got an autoimmune disease. So she has to have certain things to accommodate her condition. When I beat my physical illness, being cancer, for a long time, I'll be in remission, total remission now, 5 years next March. So in that time being, I have had to follow a more pescatarian diet, but now I've had to revert back to eating meat, because I need to get more, but free-range meat, because I have to get all of that proteins in to coincide to refresh my bloodstream and create more antibodies that way, according to my dietitian. What has been your field, or I should rather ask, what has the data been that you have discovered with regards to certain diets that have certain health benefits? Do you understand the questioning, or would you like me to put it a different way?
For folks in recovery, I can speak to that. So what we do know is that when we are abusing substances, oftentimes what happens is we are experiencing or creating deficiencies in neurotransmitters, which are chemical messengers from our brains. And so there's a disruption there, whether it's dopamine or serotonin receptors. There's also, specifically with alcohol, a lot of imbalance to the gut health. And so when we start this journey to recovery, to sobriety, really no matter what the substance is, two things we want to be mindful of is gut health, brain health, using food to, I'll use the word data, to give us the data we need for those to repair. Two causes for relapse are blood sugar challenges, up and down, high blood sugar, so imbalanced blood sugar, and then also neurotransmitter deficiencies. So we know that we can use food to help support those as well. So if we're looking at foods that are going to help with healing the gut, repairing the gut, and then foods that are going to support brain health, along with following a routine or a schedule that helps to balance the blood sugar, then we're going in a really great direction to support recovery and sobriety. So from the gut, we're getting hormones. From the brain, we're getting neurotransmitters. Both messengers regulate mood, and if our mood is balanced, calm, peace, happy, joyful, or even if we're in a space where we can respond from a calm place when life does throw its challenges our way, then we have a fighting chance to stay. We have a fighting chance to stay on that sobriety path, to abstain from the substances that we want to use to check out or to avoid challenges in life. So it comes down to giving yourself the data, food that you need for your gut to operate properly, for your brain to operate properly, and for your body to keep your blood sugar balanced, so we can be chilling, so we can be chilling through the day rather than high stress or moving through low moods or lots of mood swings. And
That
food
seems
can do that.
seems complicated, honestly. I
Yeah.
would need you to
Yeah.
assist me through this because
Well,
it's such you're reminding me of how important food is to our moods and to recovering. It makes it easier for us to get through when we
yeah.
are, eating the right things and taking care of our gut. What are
Yeah.
some of the things that you recommend? I'm curious.
So, oh my gosh. Okay, let's start with the balancing blood sugar piece. That's first, right? So getting our blood sugar balanced is going to be based in having balanced meals every 3 to 4 if you're pushing it, 4 if you're pushing it. I'll say 3 is the sweet spot, every 3 hours or so. And now, even if you're a person, because I know someone might be thinking this, what about intermittent fasting? I can't eat every 3 hours if I'm fasting. Okay, if you're choosing that schedule, you still can eat every 2 to 3 hours within your fasting window. So just want to throw that
Absolutely
out there.
correct.
If someone's listening who is doing that, you can still be eating every few hours.
I recently learned that myself, yeah.
Yeah, first step is being mindful of that. Of once we start our feeding time, which is what my coach would call it. He's a bodybuilder, so he doesn't think of like breakfast, lunch, dinner. It's just feeding time. Once you have your first meal, or once you break your fast, around every 3 hours is the sweet spot. So starting with that as a base to get your blood sugar balance. The next thing to think about is the neurotransmitters and knowing that we can make dopamine. So that's what a lot of substance abusers are chasing. That that's
The dopamine rush.
The dopamine rush, that is the neurotransmitter that makes things worth it. And you've yes, it feels good. It was rewarding. I mean, it's what we need that to keep us motivated to just keep going. And we have either depleted our own source. We have overloaded our brain with an outside source. We're messing with oh my gosh, I'm having a brain. We're messing with the receptors that are bringing in dopamine. And so we can use food to bring those chemical messengers in as well. I want to say that the number one nutrient you would want to focus on is protein. Protein, and more protein. Protein is
vegetarian here. But there's a lot of protein in
there's a lot of protein. Protein doesn't have to mean animal protein. Beans are a source of protein. Chia seeds, pumpkin seeds. Your plant-based proteins are
Danny, don't start. Don't start. Shush. The professional's talking.
Yeah.
With bacon, Chris? With bacon?
No.
If that's your cup of tea,
no, of course.
But there are so many plant-based sources of protein, and it doesn't have to be an overwhelming. You can do a simple calculation. I'll tell you how to figure out what you need. Take your weight, divide it by 2.2. Your weight in pounds, I should say. If you're a kilogram person, then keep your weight in kilos. If you're pounds, take your weight divided by 2.2 and shoot for that number in grams of protein per day. So it's not this huge number. That's to avoid deficiency. Now you can have in a shake almost every morning. That's 10 grams of protein. A serving of beans is going to be around because it's really more of a carb source, but you're going to get around 7 to 10 grams of protein. For an ovo-lacto vegetarian, maybe you have eggs, you can have 6 grams of protein per egg. I use a vegan protein powder from the grocery store here, 20 grams of protein, pea protein. So when you know what you need specifically for your body, then it makes it a little bit easier to understand how to achieve that. Everyone doesn't need hundreds of grams a day. And you can get it in through your plant-based sources. So balance your blood sugar, number one. Prioritize protein because protein and amino acids are what are required to build those neurotransmitters that we might be deficient in. And then the last piece is thinking of foods that are, your raw vegetables that are going to be supportive to the organs that we may have neglected. So high fiber foods to help with digestion. One food that would be on any ex-drinkers list, I would say, are beets, which are really great for the liver. So, I mean, and any vegetable you like, but those raw or lightly steamed vegetables, as closest to their natural as you can, that would be my suggestion, not requirement, but are going to be foods you want to start incorporating. So 3 simple things without overloading yourself. Eat every few hours, prioritize protein, get in your raw vegetables so you can support your organs.
Absolutely.
Chris had put up a comment, and maybe I'm an idiot. But I don't know what this word is. Protein is better than amateurtein.
Where do I
AMATEURTEIN? Is that a thing? Or is
If
he
you
trying to
say
joke?
joke like pro is better than amateur, protein is
Okay,
better
okay.
than
All right, that's what I thought, but I wasn't quite sure. So I'd say it. He wants to come up. Let him come up. Let's talk to Chris.
Let's invite him. Let me try and see if I
better than
can.
amateur team.
There we go.
Yes, I want to come up.
Chris
I
Rossetti.
want to come up and
How many
sincerely.
cameras can be on at once on this?
I think 10.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I would like to sincerely apologize for the terrible joke.
No, it was absolutely a 10 out of 10, buddy.
And this is coming from a person in 66 years of living on Earth. I've had 5 cups of coffee and 3 ounces of beer. So I'm not at all qualified to speak to your group. But however, I am picking up life lessons from everything you're dishing out today, and I really appreciate it.
Fantastic.
It's only a
Thank you so
pleasure,
much for
buddy.
coming up.
It's
We
only a
appreciate it.
pleasure.
I really do.
And Danny, I wanted to say earlier on, if you are not very accustomed to eating every 3 hours, what really has worked for me, for example, and you're going to be surprised, have a handful of peanuts, but natural nuts, not those flavored ones. The naturally flavored nuts, be it either peanuts or cashews, which is my favorite, or even what's the favorite that they throw in salad, which absolutely ruins the taste?
Almonds, walnut, pecans.
Pumpkin seeds have a lot of
Pecans.
protein.
Oh,
And what I'm going
Lord.
through right now,
Oh, yes.
you can help me. I have a bone deficiency now. And so I have arthritis in my back. It's called AS, axial spondyloarthritis. And it's now a bone deficiency in my body, which causes my teeth to become loose. So the bone density is really getting bad. So what are some of the things? Is that also like proteins and vegetables and stuff like that to try to bring back?
Bone density is weight-bearing movement, and calcium and vitamin D together. They have to be together. Now, it's not just calcium by itself, calcium and vitamin D, but to rebuild bone, which is very challenging, especially for women after a certain age, we start to lose at a rapid. It's actually weight-bearing exercise. So similar to building or strengthening a muscle, you need to be moving those joints, and you need to be having weight bearing on your skeletal system so that it's cued to at least stay strong. If it's not building at a rapid pace, you're at least maintaining what you have.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Teeth are partially alive and partially dead. So teeth are tricky, but that's more of a dentist. But the jawbone, I would say something that you could do to relieve tension is fascia blasting. I have a little facial fascia blaster. Fascia is that connective tissue that's really holding us all together. And you can increase collagen production, which will help to support that area. But when it comes to rebuilding, repairing, laying down new bone, it's weight-bearing exercises.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's scary. I need to get on it.
Well, it doesn't have to be anything super
time.
heavy. I mean, it doesn't. Body weight, that's your own body weight is a place to start with resistance. And then, some light wrist weights, ankle weight. It doesn't have to be a trip down to CrossFit. Yes, resistance bands, it's movement. Movement is the key.
Shut up, Chris.
No. I'm not. I'm giggling
We got
in
Lisa.
agreement. Lisa, would you like to come on stage?
All right, Lisa. She's with me. She's got Lisa. Are you interested in coming up? Let us know. I will. Hi, Billy D's. How are you? Now, how about the neurotransmitters? I was telling Chris I'm taking this course where they're training us on how to reprogram our neurotransmitters in our brain. And it's a lot of practice. But are there physical exercises, or is there foods or something that can help with that besides what you've already mentioned?
So the best way to start strengthening the communication and make new pathways or new communication across pathways is movement. 30 minutes a day of some kind of movement, moderate intensity. Doesn't have to be HIIT training. Again, doesn't have to be CrossFit. There was an article in Time, this was probably 6 or 8 months ago, that shared that for older adults who are wanting to keep their memory and keep their brain fresh and healthy, you will see more benefit from movement than you would a Sudoku or crossword puzzle or brain games. So
Wow.
if you can have them incorporating something as simple as tic-tac-toe, but you have it laid out on the floor where you have to go pick up the X and move it and place it, and then pick up the O and move it and place it, you're going to see more benefit from a handwritten brain game. Meditation, of course, loads and loads of research there that says we can create new communication and stronger brain waves when we have some time and peace and stillness. But some people like to do walking meditation. So a mindful walk where you're still slowing down your mind, intentionally slowing down your mind, even though you might be physically moving slowly. So meditation, movement, some of the best ways to start rebuilding those pathways. When it comes to food, to get in not only dopamine, but serotonin, dopamine, GABA, some of the best things that we could be eating on a regular basis. Blueberries are research proven. It's the color, it comes from the color to help to decrease feelings of depression. Raspberries right up there with that. Oats. So if you're doing your oatmeal, I'm not talking about the maple and brown sugar Quaker oatmeal. I'm talking about plain oatmeal that you flavor yourself. Spirulina, fermented foods, also really good sources for improving gut health, which is helping to have our hormones sending signals that they need to. Your fish and your omega-3 oils also going to be a really great source for improving brain health and giving your body the data. So I want to refer to food as data. Will give your body the data that it needs to operate the way that you want it to.
Yeah, Chris's wife says doing the dishes is a great way for him to achieve his movement every day. And Lisa, who I think I'm going to invite up, she said it was funny because she was literally reading a big article on blueberries this morning, that they're a good source of fiber and help with your bad cholesterol and vitamin C. So let's invite Lisa up and see if she has anything to say. And if you don't want to come up, Lisa, it's okay.
And lest we forget, blueberries are fantastic on a pancake.
Oh, blueberries are so good. A handful of blueberries in oatmeal with some crushed cashews, pecans, almonds, crushed nuts. That's ideal. And I'll say it's ideal if you do my recipe, because in my oatmeal, I put a scoop of either vanilla or chocolate protein in the boiling water. And so now my oatmeal is not just a carb serving, it's a 20 grams of protein serving plus great whole grains from oatmeal, which is also good for cholesterol, but it's bringing in neurotransmitters, the information needed to build neurotransmitters. And then blueberry, like starting my day, that is my go-to breakfast. Oatmeal.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And do you leave your oatmeal 24 hours, or do you? Because I've seen people go one of two ways.
No, I need fresh made oatmeal every morning. I need to
Fresh
boil
made.
fresh made oatmeal. What I will say is if there is oatmeal left over that doesn't get eaten, because there's 3 of us in my household. My son will eat a whole serving sometimes. But if there's any left over, I will put the oatmeal in the fridge and then the next morning boil water, use part of that because I don't like to waste. I'm not throwing it away, but I don't like the overnight oats. I like hot. I like the whole ritual of it, boil the water.
Now we get to the origin.
You know what? You're such a brilliant person. You've got so much great information. I mean, God, I could pick your brain forever, honestly.
A font of knowledge.
Just really, you are just amazing. But I'm just so curious about your sobriety journey. I'm always curious. What was that day? What happened that day that you got sober? Like, what made you? Because it's a hard thing to do. So I'm just curious. Like, what happened?
What happened? So, a lot of things leading up to, and it's so funny you asked that because I just submitted a bio, which I have the hardest time writing bios. And I know like once you have one bio written, it's like, just send the same one. But I feel like different pages and different spaces, it's like
of course.
I need to put a different piece of the story in it. Who am I talking to? Which part of my story do I want to tell? And so I always struggle. So I had my partner, I was like, hey, why don't you write my bio? I want to know what you think I'm all about, and I'll edit it. But the day of was, so January 1st, 2019, the day of that time around, I had decided I was finally ready to quit drinking several months prior. But being the little substance abuser that I was like, let's just keep it going through the holidays, like around October, I knew this is it, girl. Like, it's over. It's over for you. What are you doing? It's clear that it is clear as can be. What other signs do you need? At that point, I had been arrested twice, once for fighting, which I am not a fight. Like, that's.
Whoa. I don't see that one.
I know. I used to fight with my words, but if you fight with your words enough, you're going to say something to someone that it's going to turn into, like people just get sick of you attacking them with your words, not condoning violence. It was alcohol induced for sure. And then 2 years prior to that, a DUI. So I'm arrested twice at this point. Broken family relationships. Everybody was sick of me. They were just failed intervention. I was like, you guys should mind your own business. Lost cars, losing my business. It was a wrap. It was like, that's a wrap, girl. But again, wanted to just push it through the holidays. Afraid. I was literally afraid. Like, I don't know how to not drink on Halloween. I don't know how to not drink on, Wednesday through Monday of Thanksgiving weekend. I don't know how to not drink on Christmas. What am I going to do? How am I going to, so the fear gave me 90 more days in the spiral. And then, like I mentioned earlier, I knew AA was the thing. I didn't know that there were any other options. And when I got a DUI, that was 2015. I went to one meeting because it's required. And I was like, I'm not as bad as these people. Like, they're really bad. I drove my car off the freeway, but it's not as bad. Like, these people they really messed up. From listening to one, but a part of it also was I didn't see anyone in the room who I could connect with. I didn't see anyone who looked like me. No one was my age. And I just was like, no, this is, And also, in my arrogant mind at that time, I had just finished grad school. So, alcoholics don't have master's degrees. And that's what I was thinking. No, we have master's degrees and more. So
from jail to Yale.
Yeah, from jail to
Yale. Nice going, Danny.
Yeah. And so I just said, screw it. Like, I have literally nothing to lose. So I'm going to reach out and get some help, because I'm telling people all day, every day that they should be reaching out for help when they want to lose weight or get stronger or get healthier. Why don't I listen to my own damn advice for once? And I just did. I looked up a meeting in my neighborhood, and still a little, partied up from the night before. I just walked into the room like, I'm here. like, what, let's see what this is all about. And never looked back. Just realized, like, okay, I'm not the only person that's having these challenges. I hear and I see in this space people who do look like me, and I'm willing to listen to your story. And I just kept showing up and listening because I did not want to be angry anymore. I didn't want to be moody anymore. I just wanted to be happy. You know, I was just like, I just want to be happy. So I'll do whatever you guys say. And I did it, you know, and continue to. I've grown past 12-step fellowship exclusively. I'm forever grateful for the experience that I had there, for the sponsor that I worked with. And on social media, I found that I could really use my voice in, I think, a more impactful way than only staying in the walls of 12-step. And that's my personality. I want to share. I've always wanted to talk about everything that I do, wins and losses. And I mean, even I was open about the DUI. I was open about the toxic relationship. I just would talk about these things. So it made sense
So
for me.
to break anonymity provided you with the education that you needed.
Oh, I had to share for a few reasons. That's me. I'm not good with secrets. I am the worst. Surprises, and I'm like, don't tell me your secrets. It's in a session, it's different. It's not, I don't feel like I'm hearing people's secrets. But like friends and family, like, I don't want to hear it. I'm telling that, like, surprises, I buy my husband something, and then I'm like, okay, this is what it is. Here, I just want to show you. Forget it. I was going to wait, but I'm telling you right now.
My mother does the same with me. I want to kill her.
Hey, I know you can't do surprises. But I did not want to, I needed people to know, my family to know, and I needed that accountability of, like, this is it. If you see me drinking, it's a problem. Like, say something to me. This has to be the way I'm doing it. And also,
novel way of thinking.
Yeah, my family, we overcame as a unit my dad's addiction in my childhood, and we didn't talk about it. And we just didn't talk about it. So I was like, hell no, we're not doing that again. I'm talking about it. I'm not ashamed. It is what it is. And I realize that we're in a generation that is used to sharing their lives on social media. And the only reason I will say that I was willing to give AA a try, otherwise it would have been rehab or something I would have just researched maybe, is because a high school friend of mine posted his chip on Instagram. And so when I saw his post, I was like, oh shit, the homecoming king is in AA? Like, oh. This is okay, this can affect more people. And I was like, I'm doing it. He's talking about it, I'm doing it. And I don't talk about who I see or saw in meetings, but I have to be a voice for recovering out loud, so people can see themselves and see, okay, even someone who had, education success and business success, like, it doesn't matter. It can impact anyone, and you can create your pathway in a way that works for you and aligns with you and your lifestyle.
And your life also becomes a university for others, in other words.
Yeah.
Because here's why I say it. There's a conflict in our society today, and I don't mean to steer this in a socio-political direction, but I'm just using it for the sake of argument, where things that are being taught at tertiary level may not benefit that person skills-wise when they are in the workplace. It's its own animal. But here comes you sharing your experience, and that reader, viewer, listener finds what you have said tangible, and they adopt that mantra for themselves. They do their own internal checklist. That Kiola said, you know what, I experienced this. Hold on a sec, I've experienced this. That ticks that box for me, and on and on and on and on and on. I always said that the ether, being the radio mic or the radio speaker rather, is the university of life. Tish, complete Tish. This is the university of life. And that's what you're using to educate one another.
Yeah.
And that is a mighty powerful platform. And plus, people are getting it for bupkis. Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Yeah, put the hat in. I like the concept of learning from each other, and there are topics that I needed to be able to talk about that I couldn't talk about in 12-step. So I needed to be able to talk about more and share about more and be a resource for, I mean, I wouldn't be able to be doing these nutrition workshops in 12-step. This doesn't happen. And I was eating red vines by the handful when I started my sobriety, and I didn't understand, even as a nutrition coach, I didn't understand why I was doing that. I had never experienced that before. I knew people had a sweet tooth, but I'm like, how did I develop a sweet tooth? This is what is going on.
Yeah.
So not having a resource for that, my sponsor, bless his heart, I mean, that'll tell you I had a male sponsor. I was already rebelling from the second I came into 12-step. I'm like, no, there's no women in here that I like. I'm picking this guy. So that was already like a red flag. Like, she's not going to last very long. But I did, I asked him, like, I noticed that I'm just eating like jelly beans and candy all the time. What's going on? He's like, oh yeah, that was because the alcohol was digesting as sugar and da-da-da. And I'm like, okay. And that's not it. That's not what it is. But that's what he knew. And that's what somebody told him. So that's what he told me. It has nothing to do with the alcohol being digested as sugar. Our body is looking for a new dopamine resource. And so it's calling for, because you're deficient in dopamine now, your receptors might be messed up and you're not giving yourself the hits you were getting. Your brain is like, well, get it from somewhere, get it from something. Yeah. And if you're not instantly starting a fitness routine, or even if you are starting a fitness routine and you're still not getting the amount that you were getting in, you have to regulate yourself to a balanced place of all of these neurotransmitters, then yeah, you're going to be wanting candy and donuts and all the sugar you can get. But no one can tell me that in 12-step, and not right. I could go back now as and help folks in that way, and maybe that person existed, but not in my meeting. I knew that there was more. I needed more options to my recovery journey than just 12-step, and it will always. I mean, I have clients I work with that ask questions about going through steps and finding a sponsor. I'm happy to connect folks with sponsors. I have great folks in my network that are part of 12-step, and I make sure to connect the dots. I've worked with a few people. I don't consider myself a sponsor, but I've gotten people here's chapter 5, read chapter 5. And in the meantime, just start thinking about this and understand what's going on. And I will help you find someone. If you can't find someone, you can ask me the questions, but for whatever reason, I'm like, I'm not your sponsor, but I'll help you. I don't want that responsibility. I don't know. I just,
you go to the meeting and you start talking about fitness, and they go, that's for another meeting.
That's for another meeting. Yes.
Reprimanded.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. New age recovery.
I call it.
I'm happy to be a part of. I'm happy to watch this happen, though. Like, it's pretty cool that there are so many spaces and options and pathways popping up for folks to change their relationship with substance. You can do this from home now. I mean, medication, even we're just talking about it. We're talking about the disease or ailment, whatever you want to call it, that's affecting millions, hundreds of millions of people across the globe. And so now that we're moving the shame away and lifting the veil, and we're seeing commercials for alcohol-free beer commercials. Mm-hmm. What, during sporting events for Heineken Zero? What? This is crazy. Yeah.
We just had a gentleman on who is advertising his own brand of mocktail.
Ooh, what is it?
You'll know the name. Kevin Kreider from Bling Empire. Bling Empire.
Bling Empire. Is that a TV show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got
Kevin Kreider.
a drink. It's got ginseng. Kevin Kreider, yes. Ginseng, dragon fruit, and ginger. And it's a real healthy combination of energy. And a lot of people like it. So I don't know. He's off
What's
to a
it
good
called?
start. It's called Sans. Sans.
Oh, okay.
S-A-N-S.
I haven't tried it yet. I'm putting it on my list. We're so spoiled. In LA, we have 5 alcohol-free bottle shops. So,
Oh my God.
Woo-wee.
I was born and raised there, but I moved to Florida a couple years ago.
just go down to the booze-free bottle shop, get you some alcohol-free beer, and
That's great.
just even functional beverages, things that are not, because, everyone's journey doesn't include non-alcoholic beer, non-alcoholic wine, or zero-proof cocktails. Some people are like, give me iced tea and lemonade, I'm good to go. And that's perfectly fine.
Exactly.
There are also functional beverages. So that sounds like what you guys were saying with ginseng and ginger and things that are either adaptogens, nootropics, something that's going to calm the nervous system or bring us back to balance and is beneficial, unlike alcohol. Alcohol for a short period of time can relax you. And then it can also bring anxiety, and then it can also take it's not
that pregnant pause in the sentence.
yeah.
I have a question. I don't know if you know about it or anything about it. A lot of people are doing it for depression. I've seen ketamine. I've seen mushrooms. Like, what is going on? People are using this is this something that you recommend, or do you know anything about it?
Well, I cannot recommend psychedelics for recovery yet. Around summer next year, I'll be able to recommend it.
Interesting.
But I can say that I've read lots of research, and I have done a 6-month dosing regimen with psilocybin, and I would consider, and my therapist, not just me, would consider or report back that I went from high generalized anxiety disorder to almost undetectable generalized anxiety disorder. Like manageable, just like, I feel like a different person. It's very weird. It's very, very...
Wow, that's interesting.
There is promising research for cessation of heavy drinking, for relief from anxiety and depression, where some folks on SSRIs, only 2% of people would consider their anxiety or depression relieved. With psychedelics, you're seeing closer to 2 out of 3 people are considering themselves relieved from anxiety and depression. And it's just amazing. Like the resurgence. My main concern is that pharmaceutical companies are wanting to get involved simply to make money, and it's
of course
like the grassroots, hippie healer that I would say I was in a past life is just like, I just want to throw mushrooms like out to everyone, like, here, just take them. It's, I don't know. And there was a big conflict for a year. I was going back and forth, like, shit, can I do this? Like, what am I going to do? The anxiety is out of control, and I want to be happy. I want to be calm, and I want to experience, life at a different level. I don't want to have this constant voice going in my head and be worrying all the time. And I was a new mom. I guess I'm still a new mom, but just like a mom to a 6-month-old. And my therapist said, okay, well, we can, talk to your psychiatrist, and you can try Zoloft or try something, and a different medication. And I was like, I don't know, I've done all these other drugs, but for some reason I have this adverse. I'm like, I don't want to do. I was like, let me just see if I can find. I want to see if I can find something that is more aligned with me, and just started really researching and figuring out what are the possibilities. And I reached out to a coach who's actually based in Canada, and she gave me a regimen to follow, 6 month regimen. And I just had to decide that if folks in the recovery world or sobriety world were going to judge me, then it's not my problem. That's really not my, my problem. That's why I don't necessarily go around encouraging, like, but in my dream world, I do think that there is a lot of help and healing for folks. They're potentially in that psychedelic therapy world. So yeah, there's practitioner certifications that I'm looking into. That's why I would say next spring, then maybe I will be saying, everybody, you need to do this. If you're struggling and you have tried everything, watch or read How to Change Your Mind, talk to someone with experience and see if it's something that might be for you.
True. Danny, I want to add to that as well. There's a new phenomenon, and courtesy of one Joe Rogan, that even the Native American beverage that is used by medicine women or prescribed by medicine women, known as ayahuasca, has had a success in having people completely go off alcohol totally, because it induces a psychedelic, excuse me for the tongue twister, a psychedelic trance, as it were, where the user goes into their previous life. I'm just paraphrasing from secondary data, which explains the origin as to why that person either drank or used consistently. But as Kiola has mentioned, the data is iffy. There still needs to be concrete evidence presented. Of course, now as well, again paraphrasing from Kiola's mouth as well, Big Pharma, the moment that they see a gap, they want to grab it as fast as they can, put a patent on it, see if they can throw some deadly chemicals in it, put it on the mass market, say this is the new medicine, and see how we can get people hooked. Pfizer, a whole lot of them. Same pattern all over again. How big is the paycheck that we can get out of this?
Get the drugs. There's so many drugs that are not available. They're back ordered or whatever's going on in the country. I know there's tons of people who are not getting their medicines.
Yeah.
It's insane.
It's wild. It's wild. Yeah. This is, there's something has to, here's the tricky thing with them patenting and making a synthetic version. This is not a drug or a medicine that you would need long term. That's the thing. That's the kind of tricky thing about it is that big pharma, unless they do what you said, which is put something in there, because psilocybin is considered a non-habit forming, non-addictive substance, and a lot of psychedelics as well, because it's not an escape. It's a look at yourself. Where you use a certain substance to check out, to zone out, to just not think about anything, to not reflect. The psychedelic experience is more of a reflective going within. And it's you're awakening to options. That's how I feel with anxiety. I finally feel like I have an option. I don't have to worry. I can just chill. And maybe the average person that hasn't dealt with mental health challenges is like, why don't you just relax? Like, what's the big deal? Believe me, if I could have done that, I would have done that. I tried, to just relax. There's something needed to be rewired. Something needed to just reconnect. I needed to be reminded that I don't have to have everything in order every single day all the time. Like, it's okay if there's a mess. It's okay if I am tired and there's 10 dishes in the sink. Like, I'll do them tomorrow. Or I don't have to think about the mistakes I made in college 20 years ago, 15. Like, I can just let those go. To wake up and not be, that's freeing. And that's like, that's the reason that I want to share the opportunity or access for someone who's interested. It's not it's like AA. It's not about advertising it, but if someone asks me and is curious, then I want to be able to be the resource and share my experience. Awesome. I don't want to,
It's a clever way to go. It's really a clever way to go. Kiola, as we start to come to an end of this interview, I speak on behalf of Danielle and myself. You are extremely eloquent, extremely knowledgeable. And if I'm the only one to say it in this regard, um, you may have developed a niche for yourself in that you've combined methods of recovery, the methodology, various methodologies versus the various methodologies of fitness. And you can help usher in the new, not just new chapter, but a new library of positively moving forward. But as I like to ask of everyone, what are some of the life lessons that you have learned going through this journey of, and I'm talking about positive life lessons that you've learned?
Mm. In life in general or just recovery?
Let's say both. What the hell?
Ooh. A lesson that I am learning recently is to, it's like keep calm and carry on, but keep calm and carry on. Basically, recently I've realized that the best decisions that I will ever make will be made in a calm mind. So when I need to make a decision, I will come to the best decision if I calm myself down first and then make the decision. And have I mastered that? Hell no, I haven't mastered it. I haven't mastered it. But it's I learned the lesson. I passed the class, or I'm currently passing. I probably have like a 79% in the class. But
still a distinction.
Powerful decisions are made from a calm mind.
Great advice.
Slow down, quiet down, get calm. And that's both recovery and life.
Yes.
Wise words.
I'm only calm because I quit drinking.
But well said. And as we approach the end of the show, I have to say something here. I messaged Daniela earlier this afternoon because I wanted to do this as an add-on for our final episode of the year, and she was silent for roughly about, 2 hours, and she must have thought, oh God, what is he going to come up with now? It's just a few last words, and it comes from a sincere place of honesty, and I think it's imperative that in life in general, one be laconic and introspective. So just a couple of words of thought and words of thanks, seeing that we're about to end off 2022 on a high note. So here I go. If there were to be 2 quotes that have proven true in this fragile year of 2022, firstly, let's agree, normally where you make monies in dribbles, you tend to lose it in chunks. And then secondly, which is rung true for me especially, is, and it's a lesson I'm ashamed to say I often learn repeatedly, no person is an island. Confession time. When Daniela Park had come to me with a proposition originally in either March or April of this year of joining in on a brand new talk show, I was petrified. Because, first of all, not having done any live television, and I'm speaking from in front of the lens before, all I knew that this opportunity would be at best a test tube baby for something new with a success rate and a failure rate of equal mind. And with this economy, but let me just interrupt myself. Having a scarcity mentality is what held me back. That is the long and the short of the tale, cut and dry. And I betrayed a couple of principles that I hold dear to my heart as a media personality, which was to educate, to inform, and to entertain. In fact, I'm such a disciple of this that I'm married to the job first and to life second. But for the time that I concentrated on my own career in my native motherland of South Africa, which has been marred with difficulties, the pandemic being but a smidgen of the equation, I failed to abide by the golden rule that there comes a time that when the 3 to 5 ratio, 3 years to establish yourself, 5 years to see return on investment, has not yielded the results that I would have to at some point wake up and seek another means of making a career. So quite bluntly put, even more importantly, realize that when the chips are down, better to cash out and seek greener pastures. With my radio and television career having run dry, it brought me to the conclusion that often the best opportunities are the ones that have a natural development on both a physical and a personal level. And thus it was that Doing It Sober Live was born. Which brings me to Miss Park as a person. Daniela Park I already knew since 2020, by reputation, of course, as a fine woman of immense quality. Only it took me a while to realize it. In the period since we mutually hosted the pilot, I still remember before going to a tablet, I was still on a small little iPhone that I struggled to keep alive. We have grown immeasurably close, and it's a relationship that money cannot buy. It would be Daniela who helped me grow as both a professional entertainer and as a person. Let it be made known that Daniela is an empath of impeccable radiance and beauty, a monument of kindness and care, and a showcase of wholesomeness with a fondness for light-hearted humor. After all, with a perfect contrast, Daniela on this program resembles hug me. Chris Nell resembles punch me. After all, connection remains the commodity which influences everything else above normal trade. And I speak on behalf of Daniela and myself in that we extend our mutual gratitude to both Mr. Mark Cuban and to Ms. Fallon Fatimi for allowing us the opportunity to produce this talk show on this popular and exclusive platform in its freshman year. It speaks volume of one's character to use your fame and to give back through that fame, like creating a platform like this. We'd also like to extend our thanks to our guests, including present company, who have tied their time. It's been a remarkable privilege to have had you, and our hearts are warmed by the increased visibility subsequently that you have received from this exposure. And then finally, we extend our thanks to you, the viewers, and our listeners. We hope that whatever you have taken away has helped you in your path, wherever that may lead. When we retake this program during the coming year of our Lord 2023, you can be assured we're going to come back stronger, smarter, and bigger. And let it be made known, the entire onus of the show has not stemmed from the desire for each and every one of us to be a showboater, not at all, but rather to fulfill the prophecy that had been laid out by the American Tolstoy of novelists, Herman Wouk, who wrote that the beginning to the end of war lies in remembrance. Thus, we conclude our final episode of the year, as always, with the popular slogan, life is better when you're doing it sober. Kiola, a marvelous thank you. You've been an absolute stellar star. Danny, as always, thank you to you for a marvelous year, and to you, our listeners. If you missed out on this episode, you're more than welcome to catch up on all the streaming platforms. It will be available on demand, and we'll see you in the new year. Excelsior.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much. Happy New Year.